All right, a happy Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully, everyone is doing great out there. No, we don't have any teams eliminated from recently eliminated from the postseason to do a video on. We're still in a holding pattern with the Final Four out there. But one of the things that we are going to do, and we were kind of waiting until after the lottery had taken place, is to do some offseason video on the teams that the non-play-in, non-playoff type teams. Basically, I would guess it's your top 8 teams that finished in the lottery. That season ended on that Sunday in early April, and we wanted to wait until after the lottery based on where everyone was going to be positioned in the draft, and then we can get rolling here. So we are going to start with the team that has probably a little bit of everything to make a big swing this offseason from a player standpoint, draft equity, current roster, and that is the San Antonio Spurs. When you look at San Antonio, and they are going to be, they're going to be linked with every major superstar that could become available in the trade market, whether it be Giannis, whether it be Kevin Durant. Unlikely, I would say, certainly Trae Young, if he ever became available. I don't see that here. But when you look at San Antonio and where they are, number 2 in the draft, number 14 in the draft. I'm just pulling up their article right now. And number 38 in the draft. Remember that pick, the 14th pick, which is the last pick in the lottery, is from Atlanta. That was part of the DeJounte Murray trade, and San Antonio still has a lot more coming from the Hawks as relating to that trade. It certainly starts with a couple things here. One of the big things that when we wrote about their article back in early mid-April was clarity, right? They needed some clarity, certainly at head coach, with the uncertainty as far as Greg Popovich. They certainly have that with Mitch Johnson. I always want to call Mitch Johnson Mitch Henderson. Mitch Henderson's the coach at Princeton. I always get those two names kind of stuck in my head. But with Mitch Johnson, who was their interim coach, and now there is clarity as far as who is in charge. So we can check that off the list. The other thing certainly is the health of Victor as far as where he is physically here. And you've certainly have seen him out and about. We saw him this past week at a Dallas, I want to say Stars game. No, it's the Dallas Wings game certainly here. So it looks like, certainly knock on wood, all things will be a go with Victor here. And then we kind of shift to, it's kind of like a twofold process here. We look at the draft, as we mentioned, moving up from 8 to 2, and then also having that late lottery pick, 14, and then 38, as far as what direction they go. The consensus, certainly when you talk to our own Jonathan Givony and Jeremy Woo, is that Dylan Harper is going to be the guy at number 2. There is the questions: can Harper and Stephen Castle and De'Aaron Fox, can that group work? And I think when you're picking at 2, and if there's enough separation between what's at 2 and what's at 3, and what's at 3, is it Ace Bailey? Is it VJ Edgecombe? Is it Trey Johnson? Is it Jeremiah Fears? I do believe there's enough separation between number 2 and basically everyone else in the draft. You go the best available route. Certainly you see how it fits. Of course, you can always move somebody down the road here, whether it be a player like Harper, or maybe there's a deal at the night of the draft, or, as I said, maybe they're one of these all-star level, all NBA level players become available. But I do think when you're picking at number 2 and there's clear separation, that Dylan Harper is the guy to go for. I had the opportunity to sit down with Dylan. He is a terrific young man. He is driven. He is loyalty to a T. One of the big things, I sat down with him, excuse me, when we got going with the draft process, as far as helping him interview, in the process of help when he started interviewing with teams, just to kind of help him along the process. And then certainly we had him on on set at ESPN during the combine. And the one thing that I admire about Dylan, certainly staying in state, going to Rutgers, dealing with adversity, him and Ace, certainly going in there, Harold is, I mean, they're going to be the number 2 and likely number 3 picks in the draft. And it's a team that couldn't get out of the first round of the Big Ten tournament. Staying loyal, staying in state, I think it would have been easy for him to bail at some point of this season here when he was sick during the year. He lost a bunch of weight. He had some injuries. They knew this team was not going to the NCAA tournament. They weren't going to the NIT. And I think for some players, it would have been easy to bail on their school and on the locker room and basically start the draft process in early March or late February. And he did not do that. So there is a lot of the intangibles from a loyalty factor. So when you're looking at the draft with Harper, he should be your guy. Does that mean he's going to be in San Antonio for life, or is he going to be used in a trade? I think that's a TBD. I think when you're looking at 14, I think there it is certainly how the roster is. Listen, if you're at 14 and a guard is there and he's best available on your board, I do think that is a discussion that you have within your front office. I figure, do we need another guard? Do we go center? Do we go bigs as far as a front court? Do we go like it's an interesting debate and conversation when you have 2 picks, certainly in the top 14, and you are staring best available or maybe best fit. And those are the discussions that are going to happen in the next 3 weeks. It's interesting. And I don't know if it's too rich to take him at 14. We had Max Reynard, the big from Stanford, who certainly played really well. And Jonathan Gavoni now has him in the first round, and who is best friends with Victor, right? Like they're like chess buddies. And there is a component, and I said this too with Tyrese Proctor regarding Dyson Daniels, as far as there is a component there that won't show up on the scouting report. The intangible component here, where besides the ability to play on the court, the ability to be a good teammate, to be a good locker room guy, to be the relationships that somebody already maybe has, certainly when you have a franchise player. I thought that was pretty interesting. So keep an eye on 14, and then certainly at 38. I would say 38, either two-way or maybe you move out of the second round here. So that is kind of a little bit of a draft perspective. And that's why we waited till after the combine, so I can give a little perspective on some of these draft lottery prospects as far as that might be available for San Antonio. The big thing too, so let's take the draft out of it. The big thing too is certainly going to be San Antonio, swung for the fence with De'Aaron Fox and still had enough equity left to go out and go get another player if the opportunity presents itself. And when you look at what they have available, certainly with, I'm just pulling up the roster. Certainly when you remove Fox and Victor from the equation here, they have a ton of these, I call it sweet spot contracts, certainly with Devin Vassell at 27, Keldon Johnson at 17.5, Harrison Barnes on 19 on an expiring, and then all these players on rookie scale contracts. Certainly Castle would be the most interesting player, but it's hard for me to think San Antonio getting away from him unless it's something that you can't turn down. And that really the only thing that you can't turn down was if Giannis became available. I would say this, and I'm giving a hypothetical here, and I don't want to be aggregated because I'm just talking out loud. If San Antonio made 214 and Castle involved and as a package, and I'm not saying they would or they have or anything like that, I think that would be certainly enticing if you're in that Milwaukee front office. So we wait and see what happens here. But when you look at, certainly from a contractual standpoint, when you look at from a financial standpoint, if they keep both picks, they're going to be right at the salary cap. They've got so much flexibility to go out and trade for a $54 million player, even if you have to send out $45 million in contracts, for example, there to be able to stay under that first apron. So they're well positioned below the luxury tax. They're $27 million. They still have access to their 14.1 non-tax mid-level exception to go out in free agency. I think the big thing you have to be careful with, certainly excuse me, where they are roster wise. They've got 10 players under contract. You add the 2 first round picks, that's 12. Who knows if that second round pick, you're getting up there as far as with your roster, and just keep an eye on that. As far as, it's great to have flexibility, but you also have to be, cautious, excuse me, cautious as far as where you are rosterized. Remember, in the offseason, you're allowed to carry 21 players. So you do have that added flexibility to make a 3-for-1 type trade or a 1-for-3 type trade and still have the flexibility to add. So roster wise, financial wise, you are in extremely, extremely good shape. I mean, draft pick wise, listen, you gave up a ton of first. Some of them were kind of, I call them like dummy first, really, like that Charlotte first, which eventually turned into 2 seconds. You gave back Chicago their first, and really it costs you an own first in 27, I believe, and that Minnesota unprotected first. That is what it cost you to get De'Aaron Fox, and certainly some salary fillers when you look at Herter and Zach Collins there. So you still have equity, and that's the most important thing to remember here. You have the swap rights with Atlanta in 26. It's kind of like intertwined with Cleveland in there, but just focus on the Atlanta part. You've got an unprotected first from Atlanta in 27. That could be juicy. Who knows what happens with Trae Young? 6 firsts in the next 8 years, multiple years of pick swaps in 17 seconds. That is like ridiculous as far as what they have available. I mean, 17 seconds. It's like, golly geez here. Let me just pull up. We can go through the we have so many files. It's like ridiculous how many files we have with information. Well, hold on a second. So you have 6 of your own 7. Atlanta swap 26, unprotected Atlanta 27, swap rights with Boston in 28, intertwined with in 28, top 1 protected, swap rights more favorable Dallas and Mini first in 20 and 30. Mini is top 1 protected, swap rights with Sacramento in 31. So you are in good shape. Regarding your own first, as far as what you can trade, remember, because you owe 27 to Sacramento, the first of your own that you can trade is certainly in 29, right? 2 years after your pick is conveyed. So you are in a good position as far as from a tradable standpoint. So basically you could trade that Atlanta first in 27, excuse me. And you can trade, let's say 29 and 31 or 30 and 32. Like, there are workable solutions as far as what you can go out and do. You've got some extension guys to figure out here. Certainly Fox is going to be the priority with from an extension standpoint. Like, you don't trade for him and not extend him. You're in a little bit of a holding pattern with Fox just because of the trade. 6-month restriction as far as what you can do. He's one of 6 players eligible. He's eligible to 4 for 229 is his number. Sohan is another player. Jeremy Sohan is another player. You have Julian Champagne, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham. You've got a lot of extension guys to figure out, but certainly Fox is going to be the key guy. August 3rd is the De'Aaron Fox date to circle as far as the first day he's eligible to sign the maximum allowed, which is 4 for 229. When you have Victor on this rookie contract, and he's got 2 years left, Victor is extension eligible next offseason. It gives you the flexibility to add some of these higher salary players. Certainly, if you add Fox and you extend him, and certainly if you went out and did make a trade and you're getting a $54 million player, as long as you have the right, whether it be roster or still draft assets, as long as you still have options to add to your roster, that's the most important thing as far as where San Antonio is going to go, and I believe they still do. Team needs better leadership and a secondary rim protector. Really, Harrison Barnes is kind of the lone grown-up in the room, because we've got Chris Paul, who is set to become a free agent, and Paul was certainly terrific with them here. 82 games, 82 games this season, most since 14-15 for Chris Paul. And certainly if you get a rim protector for Victor, that is a priority. Certainly when he's on the bench. 8 points per 100 worse when Victor was on the when he was off the court this season. We went through the draft assets. So that is kind of it in a nutshell as far as where San Antonio. They are. And whenever anyone asks me, like, well, who's the one team that can go out and make a big trade? It's Houston and San Antonio. They are in a terrific. It's amazing. They are in a terrific position for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a long time here, and has kind of gone through this reset of their roster. As far as, do you stay put? I do believe you've kind of got like a 2-year window before you have to pay Victor a substantial number, and certainly next offseason when he is extension eligible, the number will be extremely big if you add that all NBA language in there, and if he hits that criteria, and you'll have $100 million committed to him and Fox. It's, you kind of go through the draft route, develop, add your draft picks to Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson, and you've got those 2 picks here. It's an interesting dilemma, and it's a good dilemma that San Antonio has moving forward here. So all in all, I would say the state of the roster in San Antonio is extremely healthy. Certainly, if they're not at least a play-in team next year, I would say that's a disappointment as far as where they are right now. We will talk soon. We'll have more of these offseason video for lottery teams out in the near future. But have a great day. NBA on ESPN.